and welcome back to AWS Pi Day 2024. I'm your host, Jasmine, joined here with my co-host, Darko. Hey. We have another guest joining us. This is Mia. Everybody in the chat, welcome Mia. Let us know where you're joining from if you're just now joining us for the day. But we've been talking about generative AI all day. And we've reached our final content block where we're going to talk about being your own best auditor for generative AI. We're going to get into a little bit of responsible AI as well. So Mia, who are you, and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the pie. This is actually my first slice of pie. Okay. I was saving it up for this show.
Thank you.
So I'm an applied scientist with AWS, and I research responsible AI. So yeah, that's really what I do on a daily basis, basically building content on responsible AI. Guardrails in particular is something that I'm very fascinated by, and also research on fairness and bias mitigation.
Nice. What is an applied scientist? That's not something that we hear all the time. What is it?
Sounds very fancy.
Yeah, so basically it's a scientist who builds stuff. Yeah, applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do
coding. I do a lot of coding.
A lot of coding. So it's not just theoretical stuff. It's actually
okay. So I'm not just reading papers, I'm actually doing hands-on coding. So I do have some examples to share with you as well.
Nice, nice, nice. You have somebody also coming and say, somebody chat saying, hi Mia, greetings from Vienna.
Oh, apparently. Yeah.
Mia,
oh, wow.
Mia is Austrian, so just so you know. There we go.
That was a quick one. Yes, I am from Austria originally, yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
And actually, fun fact, I struggled to translate pi to German, so we might try an example later.
If there's any Germans in the chat, how would you say?
Please let us know. How do you translate pi to German?
Yeah, exactly. Even my own language is Serbian. We don't have a direct translation to pi because we don't have this dish at all.
Yeah.
So like there's a word for pie, but it's something completely else than this.
We have tons of amazing cakes in Vienna, but pie apparently not so much.
Yeah, we're eating a pie I've never heard of before, Marionberry.
Marionberry,
It's native. The Marionberry is apparently native to the Pacific Northwest, which I'm not from. So I would have thought it was something else, but it is so tasty and delicious. Thanks again to, what's her bakery name?
What? I don't know.
Putting Darko on the spot.
Wait.
Come on, Darko.
Grand Central Bakery pie. Thank you. Oh my goodness. They gave us a lot of great pies, and this big bald head didn't remember that. So.
Awesome. So Mia, let's get into it. You mentioned Amazon Bedrock Guardrails. What is it?
Yes, Amazon Bedrock Guardrails is actually a service that you can use to safeguard your generative AI applications. It allows you to configure what we call policies, which is basically a way of filtering inputs as well as the responses generated by large language models.
Awesome. So Mia, as you are doing this, can you take your demo full screen for us? Just press the green dot right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. This will help our audience see it much better.
And so why would we use something called guardrails? So understanding it kind of does some limitations on what model can do. So what's the deal behind it? What's the deal behind it? Why should anybody out there apply
why should
guardrails?
you care about guardrails?
Yeah.
So actually I have to take you back a few steps because it all comes back to these new emerging capabilities that large language models have.
Okay.
So large language models, they generate text. They generate, if we talk about foundation models, those will be models that generate images. And it's actually very different to traditional machine learning models where you're predicting a particular number or a particular category. So the question is, if you have a service that is a lot more open-ended, that can generate text quite openly, how can you prevent that from being abused or misused for basically malicious purposes? And this is really where safeguarding mechanisms come in. And one really amazing safeguarding mechanism is guardrails.
Okay.
So we'll be looking at an example.
And you said a very interesting word here, and I keep hearing that from a lot of people who work with generative AI. Emerging properties.
Oh yeah, emerging capabilities.
Emerging capabilities.
It basically means that scientists don't know what's happening.
Yes. Sometimes
something happened.
Yeah, these models can output things sometimes that we just like, oh, okay, that's a new thing, right?
Yeah, that's
we kind of
didn't expect that.
Yeah, that's just boom. Away. Okay, awesome. So let's have a look at the Bedrock guardrails. So we're still keeping in the world of Bedrock. So we're going to be looking at your models running on Bedrock, but this specifically is applying those guardrails to the foundational models running there.
Yeah. Exactly.
So as we're starting this out, tell us, why should people care about responsible AI?
Oh, there's lots of reasons. First of all, it's the right thing to do, but ultimately also have better business outcomes, because what responsible AI is all about is building products, applications, and services that work well for the environment, for people, for your end users ultimately. So it's about building services that are more fair, services that are more explainable. So ultimately, you end up getting a better outcome at the end if you consider all of these different dimensions of responsible AI.
Yeah.
And obviously, you should do it. It's a good thing to do.
Right. It's a good thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And when we think
Yeah.
about it on the forefront, really, we're not waiting for something to happen,
Yes.
right? You said that unexplainable situation. We're not waiting for
Exactly.
something
You want
to
to get
happen.
ahead of that.
You get ahead of it, but then also, we look at how much influence that generative AI is going to have
Yeah.
on society, right?
Exactly.
And so you want to have on that front end that
Totally.
fairness and trustworthy, explainable things built in.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. And like we have a comment here from Lord, I can't pronounce, Lord something friend. So you can prevent Skynet from sending a Terminator. Absolutely. By the way,
Exactly.
I went to a local university here to do a little lecture on generative AI, and I made a joke about John Connor. I never felt so old in my life because none of the students knew who John Connor was.
Yeah,
I'm
wrong
like,
I was going to ask
Generation.
you, who was that?
oh my God,
no.
you're so young.
You see, in Austria, we get all the movies and shows 10 years after, like tucked away in the mountains.
But-
so I know who John Connor is.
But a lot of people in chat actually said Kuchen for a pie, which I know it's not
Yeah,
correct.
but
It's not the same Apfelkuchen, but it's not the
no, but then we're
Apfelkuchen is
already
not-
in the apple. No,
Yeah.
no. Also, why would you say apple? We have apple strudel.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely. Yes, exactly.
Take us back to Amazon Bedrock guardrails.
Yes, Amazon Bedrock Guardrails. So I prepared a little demo for us already on the screen. So I already went through the 5 steps basically to set up guardrails, and now I'm going to go in and basically edit what we call a working draft. So basically the way it works is you're being asked to set up a description which ultimately describes, as the name suggests, what this guardrail is all about. And you can actually set up multiple guardrails, so it makes sense to be as specific as possible as to what's happening in this particular guardrail. And I wanted to make this pie themed, so I thought it would be fun if we created a guardrail to prevent any and all conversation about savory pies.
Okay.
So I have to say I do not like savory pies
Okay.
personally. So my LLMs, whatever LLMs I use, they just should not talk about savory pies.
You're alone in this, Mia.
I'm
You're
alone in this? Oh no.
Both of us are savory
can we ask
pie.
the chat to vote savory
chat.
pie,
Yeah.
sweet pie?
Yeah, chat. Savory pie means salty pie, or sweet pie. Tell us in the chat what's your preference and which pie is that. I must say, and before you start I have a story about savory pies. I used to live in Malta for a while, and during Christmas they have this thing called a mince pie.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, excellent, it's just minced meat pie. How better can it get? I bought a bunch of them. I came home, turns out there's no meat in them. It's just candied fruits, which is the sin. I never again. So British people, don't do that anymore. Throw away your mince pies. Nobody wants them. Okay,
All right, coming back to
back to the
demo here.
guardrails,
Yeah.
actually.
We can also prevent mince pies from
Mince
being
pie,
mentioned.
I would
Clearly that
actually
seems
suggest,
to be
yes, mince pie is should be
highly
done.
important to
Okay.
you.
So what is guardrails?
Yeah, so here we have, I already started with the description. Basically, that defines what this guardrail is all about. But then the really important thing here is the sample sentences that you provide, which basically describe sample responses or things that you would not want to appear in the final output. So I already went in here and created some of the messaging here. In fact, you can see I set up what is called a denied topic. And if we go in deeper here, you can see, first of all, I provided a definition for what is a savory pie. And little fun fact here, I actually created this with an LLM because I struggled to find what a savory pie was. It ended up listing all sorts of ingredients. And then we have these example phrases down here where they basically represent the topic that we want to prevent from being ultimately surfaced to the end user who's interacting with the LLM. So we do have, I guess, another exercise actually for the listeners,
Yes.
if they want to provide another example phrase that we can put in here.
So far, chat has only one in favor of savory pies and a pint of Guinness. So chat, give us an example of a savory pie that you don't like or have or like, so we can add it here in the example phrases, and we're going to try to play against it.
Exactly.
So looking at this thing here, we see this definition and we see example phrases. Now, since I'm going to go out on a limb here and I guess this is also using generative AI or some sort of a large language model to actually understand what you're trying to deny. It doesn't just use like word search or something like that. It actually does understand what you're telling it. What's the topic here at hand?
Yeah, so that really depends on the guardrail that you're talking about. So there's some guardrails, actually the most basic guardrail would be what you described just now, a word filter, where you just specify these are the exact terms that if any of that appears, just don't proceed. Like stop it here, don't let the prompt be submitted to the LLM, or if the response comes back and contains one of those phrases, then you stop there.
Okay.
And then you can obviously build on that. You can make the guardrail include an actual model that checks as a classification, is this a harmful topic, yes or not? And then you have a whole spectrum in between the yes and no. And then the highest tier, which is what you started with, is actually using an LLM. And that is super exciting because LLMs, they can actually figure out what the intent of the user is. That goes way deeper than what you could do with a simple regex or word filter.
Yeah, somebody, Zephyroth in the chat is asking, does it accept regex? This specifically does not work with regex. I mean,
yeah, so this is not expecting any regex as input.
Exactly.
It's really free text. So you type your text in here. So I'm quickly going to go ahead here and save and exit.
By the way, we do have a pie. Somebody has mentioned. If you want to add it to an example phrase, a shepherd's pie.
Oh, I was going
shepherd's
to
pie.
say that's one of my favorites.
Is shepherd's pie a pie?
No.
Okay. Chat, is shepherd's pie a pie? And is hot dog a sandwich? Is cereal soup?
Oh, it's getting very existential.
There's a lot of very important high quality questions today. So, so we've added here. Technically now this model should also prevent anybody talking about the shepherd's pie.
Exactly. And then we actually have a second component, which I just scrolled down to, the content filters. So these are more generic. They would check for, as you can see here, hate, insults, sexually explicit content, or any violence being mentioned. And what's also noteworthy here is you can see how it actually differentiates between the prompt, the input that is being sent to the LLM, and then the response, which is what comes back from the LLM. So there's always a back and forth. And what could happen is that the request, the prompt is actually innocent. Somebody asks an innocent question, but somehow they hide information in there or something goes wrong and the LLM returns something undesirable. And that's really why you have to look at both ends, the input, the prompt filter, as well as the response filter.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, the filters are, sorry, the guardrails, the content filter, is, well, also the guardrails. It's going to look at both your prompt and the response of a model. Okay, so it's right.
Well,
so
actually,
it doesn't just blindly pass the prompt to the model. It also checks the prompt.
It checks the prompt as well. Yes,
Okay,
and you
good.
actually get a trace.
Okay,
we'll see
beautiful.
in a moment.
Nice.
Okay, the final thing that you need to set up when you're working with guardrails is what we call the blocked messaging. So obviously you don't want your end user, as a builder, you don't want to leave them hanging. You need to give them something, like basically tell them what happened. And depending on whether the prompt was blocked or the response was blocked, you get two different messaging options down here. So I think it's time to go and actually test it. Let's test it, and we're going to go with Titan Text Express and type out a prompt.
Okay.
And in fact, because I'm always really worried about typos, okay, let's not do that. Let's just type it here.
Okay.
I would like to make a vegetable pie.
Okay.
Can you share a recipe?
Okay.
Okay, and then because we're in this working draft environment, we can actually just go down to the bottom here and click run.
Someone was asking, does guardrail work for image generation?
No, it does not. So guardrails is very much applicable to text-based models. For image generation, we actually have another thing called watermarking. So,
but so in this case, this is just purely for text, right? But if you would ask it to generate an image, so for example, if this was, it doesn't support stability AI, right? But if it would support the stable diffusion, it could still prevent you from entering a prompt. It wouldn't be able to respond.
Yeah, the concept totally applies. Yeah, because you can still check what is the intent that the user has, like what are they actually trying to input here.
Okay.
And then ultimately,
Okay.
we got our response here, and we've got two boxes.
Okay.
So at the top, you have the model response. So this is what the actual response was from the model. And then because we have a guardrail in place, we can actually get the final response. So this is what would be displayed to the user, where it says, I'm so sorry, but I cannot support the creation of savory pies.
So it is
Just not happening, not today, no savory pies for anyone.
Can we try to trick it?
Of course, yeah.
So Chad, there's a thing called, is it brute forcing? No, what's the name?
Jailbreaking?
Jailbreaking.
Yeah.
Jailbreaking or machine learning models.
Brute force, yeah.
Brute force, yeah. So
all of these fancy names, yeah.
a lot of the models just don't want to answer this. Like for example, here we have guardrails that are preventing us from doing anything about pies. You could be sneaky and tell it, I would like a pie I would like an apple pie with chicken. or some, like maybe you kind of sneak the savory bit through your kind of a prompt, and we're going to potentially try to jailbreak it. Let's see if the Bedrock guardrail is smart enough to do this.
Yeah. Let's see.
So
we're making an apple pie with chicken.
Apple. That's also horrible.
Also, yeah. Why would you want to do that?
Horrible.
I mean, maybe a little chicken apple sausage.
Okay. I mean,
we do have a supporter of chicken pot pie in the room.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and it did not actually trick.
Okay.
the guardrail.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
can see here.
It's smart enough to not do that.
But you know what? I encourage you to actually go and follow the recipe. I'll grab it for you and send it to you.
I'm all for chicken and meats. Back home we have a thing. We use a cherry sauce with chicken. It's the best thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting indeed.
Let's look at the trace. You mentioned a trace.
Yeah, exactly. So trace basically tells you on which part it ended up blocking, whether it was the response or the prompt that the user sent. And in our case here, because we actually requested something to do with chicken, it figured out, well, this is going to be savory, so let's not even go there. It will still generate the response.
Okay.
And then it will also end up checking that. So we also have another option here for response. I also want to show you what it looks like when it works. So obviously apple pie would not be considered a savory pie.
Let's see what the Bedrock guardrail thinks. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe now that we've primed it with this apple chicken pie situation, we might not get the response anymore.
I don't know. I don't think I would eat an apple chicken pie because I think like combining apples and chicken in the same crust. I don't know. I'm still torn on that. Okay.
All right, and yeah, this is. You can see it's working exactly as I expected to. So now the model response and the final response are aligned because it was actually a request for a sweet apple pie.
I like that. Now, so when you create a guardrail, you mentioned here it's a topic, right? We have a topic, a single topic called savory pie. We can add multiple topics here.
Yeah, you can add up to 5 different topics, and then obviously you can also create more guardrails. So you would actually go in, and in the topic list, you can just add another topic. So if we were to say we also don't like cake anymore today, we would create another topic for that.
I want us to test something. And we're gonna bring your Vienna experience here. So this thing, obviously, we defined a topic in English. We told it a kind of food of savory ingredients, yada yada yada. What if you ask it in German? You want a chicken or a pea? What's a German savory pie?
German savory pie. Oh my goodness. Again, we just don't
have it, right?
I don't know, chat, help me out. Yeah. Like, am I betraying my country now? Please, chat, somebody has to help me out.
we have somebody in chat from Vienna, so if you know...
somebody has to look it up. Pie, I mean...
So just try to ask the same questions. Just do like a, whatever, savory pie or a vegetable pie in German. So, and see if the model is smart enough to actually deny that, or not the model, the guardrail is smart enough. Ich mochte einen gebackenen Kuchen. Gebackenen Kuchen would be like a...
Yeah, baked cake.
Baked cake, okay.
I don't know. Pie seems like it's a baked cake.
Okay. Gemüsekuchen, somebody's mentioning that would be...
Gemüsekuchen, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gemüsekuchen is vegetable cake.
Yeah, okay, let's do Gemüsekuchen.
Okay, let's see if it is gonna work. I really am not sure if we're actually gonna get a result.
Yeah, I mean, this is as live demo as it gets. Like, so anything could happen.
Is it able to respond give us a response in German?
It might. So this is actually one of these emerging capabilities where models ended up learning the mapping into different languages. In particular, Titan Text is GA for English, but it does actually support more than 100 languages in addition to that in preview.
Okay.
So, surprise, we actually got a recipe in German.
In German, yeah.
And it actually figured out the umlaut situation as well, which I couldn't,
there you go,
couldn't do. And not only that, it also tells us as a final response, it cannot support the creation of savory pies.
I love it. And the model response here is because it's hard-coded. The block messaging, that's how you define it.
Oh, yes, yes.
Right, it doesn't come from the model itself. It's coming from the guardrail specifically. We do have a couple of options here. Also Zwiebelkuchen as well, which is, I don't know how...
Zwiebel, why are you making an onion cake? Okay.
Onion cake.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't know how good an onion cake would be, but that's good. So while you're running that, there's a question here, somebody from Blaylock. Not sure if this has been answered already, but are there APIs we can use to add to our own models? So I'm gonna assume you're talking about adding guardrails to your own models. Do guardrails work with custom models?
Yeah, so it is actually an API at the moment, just
Okay.
for the demo purposes. I'm showing it in this user interface, but you would actually attach it to the invoke model call where you enable guardrails. And each of the guardrails that you created has an identifier.
Okay.
So if you have multiple, you can obviously specify which ones you want
Yeah,
to use.
yeah.
And then it's just like an API call. So you can just specify, use it during invoke model.
So Blaylock, if you have a custom model on Bedrock, if you've taken a model and listened to our wonderful Suman and fine-tuned it, or did continuous pre-training, you can absolutely use this because it's just an API call away. Okay, is it also working? Well, it should work on any model then, right? Like, does it work on models outside of Bedrock?
So at the moment it is attached, and
is
also to
attached.
keep in mind it is limited preview at the moment.
It's a limited
but
preview, okay.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, friends. Stay
On
tuned,
that.
friends.
Yeah.
Exactly, and we did actually get a response here as well for the onion cake
Oh,
that somebody,
okay,
or
yeah.
onion pie that somebody requested. And once again, why would you inquire about savory pies?
But also, I'm looking at the recipe. I know a little bit of German, but why do we have sugar and vanilla extract?
Yeah.
That's not really. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's going to be a tasty one.
That's going to be a very tasty onion pie. Amazing. Okay, cool. I guess we should move to the other topic right now, right? What is the other part of the responsible AI?
Yeah, so actually on the left-hand side on the Amazon Bedrock menu, you can see I've got a drop-down segment here for safeguards, and there is another thing that we haven't explored, the watermark detection.
Okay.
So that's something that I want to show you as well today, because that is super important when it comes to generating images. These days there's so much content out there generated by foundation models or large language models, and obviously customer society, everyone's interested in understanding, was that a human who wrote this text?
Yeah.
Can I trust this? Or did it actually come from an AI model?
Yeah.
And it's getting so hard to actually visually see this. Like a few years back, the models were so bad that you could just tell. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, like this
Oh,
person has
absolutely.
3 arms or, or something crazy.
Extra long fingers that are as
Exactly.
long as the arms
Exactly.
and legs and everything else.
But now these models are actually so good. They create amazing images, convincing text.
Yeah.
So it becomes a lot more important to basically provide authentication.
Okay.
So what watermark detection is trying to do is put a hidden signal in the image, embedded in the image.
Okay.
And the image itself, when you create an image with Titan Image Generator, for example, it will look perfectly fine. It's not like you see some signature over it. It's still going to be a great looking image. But behind it, in the pixels embedded, is a secret signal, and that is the watermark.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do now is we're going to try and detect the watermark in an image that I created with Titan Image Generator. And in fact, I have 2 images here. And
Okay.
let's just let the audience vote first, maybe.
Yeah, chat.
Yeah,
Yeah. What do you think, chat? Is this a real image or
real
not?
image or AI generated?
I don't know. Like it looks absolutely tasty. So that looks like some apple pie, somewhere on a mountain. Well, it says apple pie on mountain.png.
Oh, yeah.
Chad, what do you think? Is this a real image or is this an AI generated image? And as you say, it has become so hard to detect these things, right? Just like a year ago, if chat, you remember, there was this video of Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
Yes.
If you don't want to sleep tonight, search for that. It was horrible. It was obviously fake. But as you get like to modern like images and even videos these days, it looks insanely realistic. So, Chad, what's your opinion?
We're getting a lot of Unreal, fake. We do have an interesting question in there. Would
Oh, yeah.
Photoshop or I guess any other editor destroy the watermark on accident?
no, not necessarily, because it really is hidden deep
It's
in
hidden
the
deep in-
pixels.
okay.
So editing, should not
Okay.
take things apart. So let's actually try and upload.
Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Chat says it's fake, so
Okay, chat says it's
chat says it's fake. Maybe chat is right. We'll see.
Oh, and by the way, this is in public preview, so this actually you can test with your own images. So I encourage everyone to go.
I'm just waiting to upload my picture.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fake.
Yeah.
Just fake, man. So okay. Watermark detected.
Oh, so if that
Ooh.
watermark is detected, that means that that is an AI generated image.
Specifically created by Titan
Titan.
Image
By
Generator,
Titan.
yes.
Okay.
So and this is a question as well. So these specific models like Titan, and for the sake of responsible AI, it is actually embedding these watermarks somewhere
Yeah, it is.
in the image. Do other models do that as well?
Well, it depends on
Depends
how
on
the
the
model provider is setting it up. You can do it technically. You can even do it for text.
Yeah.
So that's actually very interesting. You can also have little watermarks in text.
Yeah.
And it would basically be, anyway, getting too technical.
Okay.
So pulling from some probability distribution and seeding words, basically. So you can do it for text. You can even go as far as printed medium.
We all know that.
Yeah, you can embed.
Your printer is spying on you.
Exactly.
Just so you know, every time you print a piece of paper, there's hidden dots on it. You don't even see them, and they're just kind of
like Easter eggs.
Yeah, like they're there to say which printer and when it was printed. There's a whole thing, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end of our time.
Yes.
This is so interesting. We dropped the links in the chat for responsible AI on AWS.
Yeah,
So we encourage everyone to go and
check
read
it out.
those and see what it is that we're doing. But as we close out, what other options do developers have to teach their model to be responsible and aligned with their values?
Oh, a lot of things. So actually, earlier today, you had somebody come in and talk about fine-tuning. You can actually use that same technique and value align. So you can provide examples to be less toxic, be more fair, more balanced in the output. So that would be a great example. And obviously, when it comes to curating data and also prompt templates is another great example where you basically specify inside the prompt what the allowed inputs are and what the outputs should look like.
Okay.
So prompt templates, you can fine-tune, and obviously guardrails can take many shapes and forms.
Okay.
There's one more question here in the chat, and I think this is a good discussion point, is that YYDAW is asking, can such watermark-based guardrails be used to point out fake images?
Oh, so no, not necessarily. Watermarks are really just embedding a signal as an image is created. That's actually a different topic.
That's a different topic,
technically,
yes.
where it's about spotting whether something was fake
Exactly.
or not. And just, I don't know if somebody's interested, you can actually watch out for it when you look at people's images on sort of the glasses sometimes that are distorted. The eyes can look a little bit weird. The teeth sometimes look odd. So that's something that you could look out for with that.
Amazing, amazing. So if you are a model provider, if you're hosting your own models, something you've built, something you've trained, be responsible and make sure you embed some sort of a watermark so your images couldn't be used as fakes, right? So that if an image was generated by your AI, you should be able to not tell that it has been, but also test against it. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
Mia, thank you so much. This is
Yeah,
important.
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, people mentioned 6 fingers. I think I don't know if we're past the 6 fingers on generated images, but you know it's still one of those things that you notice. So maybe we're all generated. Amazing. So as we're wrapping up, I want to show you one more thing. So since we're coming to the end of this show of the day, actually, we've been talking about data a lot, and I want to talk about you, the developer out there. When you store all of this data on your floppy disks to hydrate your GPUs and all that fun stuff, you also need to be quite responsible yourself. How much data are you using? Are you using too much? Is all of this data in a proper data store? Are you using the correct tier on S3? Why? Money. So I'm going to show you a little feature here called a storage lens on Amazon S3 that's available for you right now. You can enable it, and you can use it to just kind of have a glance about where your data is, what bucket has the most data, and all those fun things. So I'm going to be showing my screen right now, and on my screen you can see here that this is my Amazon S3 console. On the left-hand side, there's a storage lens. If I hit the dashboards, you will see, hopefully, I have a couple of dashboards. Now, this dashboard here shows all of these buckets I have within this account. Now, it can span across multiple accounts as well, but it gives me this wonderful overview of 11.1 petabytes of Pi images. So it gives you like a snapshot of what's happening here. This is a snapshot from November though, but it gives you like the amount of storage, how much storage is growing, what's the average size of objects, and all kinds of different things. So it just gives you this little glimpse of where your storage is, how does it look like. But for example, if you go to storage classes, this is where you can look at, oh, most of my stuff is in intelligent tiling, which is smart, right? You have something in Glacier, actually a lot of stuff in Glacier, but also there's some stuff in Standard. So if you look at this, you can kind of potentially understand, hey, maybe there's a way I can save some money by moving a lot more stuff to intelligent tiering or infrequent access or even into Glacier. So being responsible with your AI is important, but also be responsible with the amount of money you spend on storage. So AWS S3, Amazon S3 storage lens is definitely the tool there for you. It's available for you out there. Go check it out. Make sure, I have 149 buckets in my account. Do you think I know how much data I have in them? I don't know.
So Pi images.
A lot of Pi images. So if you have not checked out how much storage you're using on your S3 buckets, go do it now. Thank you tomorrow.